brighten up those dark mornings. Wheeler, Ollie, and Lecter. Mornings at the Cabin.
Paging Andrew Goodwin, paging Andrew Goodwin, Andrew Goodwin to aisle 5, Andrew Goodwin to aisle 5. I've broken the desk. We weren't even on the air. Didn't even make it on the air this time. Last time we got on the air, then I broke the desk. This time, didn't even get the show on the air. I've broken the desk in Studio One.
Just too excited.
I am quite excited.
Yeah.
I'm perky and peppy and
You
bouncy.
are. Yeah.
Bouncy, bouncy, trouncy, and pouncy. All into one today. And that has resulted in carnage for the furnishings in Studio One. Much the same way as I built 8 office chairs the other week, and then Wheeler came in on the first day and comprehensively screwed one of them. Here I am, doling out the same kind of punishment to the Cabin Radio studio desk.
You literally announced out loud about 5 minutes before we went on air, I am wide awake.
Yep.
Which is at 7 in the morning. I mean,
I'm
pretty good. Well done.
I'm normally not.
Yeah. I'm like 80% awake.
You know who else is wide awake? I mean, she's in the studio first thing this morning. Morning, Sarah Price.
Good morning.
What brings you in so early?
I wanted to leave early.
There we go. That's the spirit, everybody. Welcome along. It's Mornings at the Cabin, brought to you by Aurora Ford. Driving the north into some relatively calm and modest temperatures this morning. Minus 29. A little windy, a little breezy when you get out there. The snow is a fluttering this morning, so you might still need to wrap up a little bit warm, even though we're now into the mild minus 20s. But it promises to be a sparkling day ahead. We're going to consider a slightly chillier wedding from the weekend. We're going to discuss whether we've seen the last cold day ever. We're going to check in on how I spent my Super Bowl Sunday. And of course, we have more of your terrible date stories on the way. Keep those coming in. Boy, do they ever make us laugh. Your romantic misfortune. It powers us.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast.
Mornings at the Cabin, brought to you by Aurora Ford. Driving the north. Sans Jesse Wheeler, sleeping the north. Resting the north. What has he done? He's done something to his back?
Hurt his back, apparently.
Hurt his back. Yeah. All right. Well, we wish you well, Mr. Wheeler. Hence, my friends of distinction this morning are Sarah Price.
Good morning.
And Scott Leckerman.
Oh, hey.
And you, of course. Welcome along to the show. Congratulations as well to Jacinda Cullerhall and Josh Powell. Newly married, tied the knot this weekend, out on the ice road. I mean, that happens fairly frequently. We all know there's some pretty funky weddings going on in your life. Doesn't often happen, though, that you wake up on the morning of your wedding day and it is minus 45.4 degrees, which turns out to be the third coldest day since the year 2000 and colder than it's been at any point since January 2008. And at that point, there's really two psychological approaches you can take to that. Number one is, my rest of my life is doomed to failure. And number two is, well, that's kind of cool. This will be a fun story to tell the grandkids. And I hope they went with option two. The photos, Lecter, pretty stunning.
They are. And so this was a planned... It sounds weird to say.
Well, they didn't trip and fall and suddenly end up marrying each other.
Well, but I mean, February 9th.
They did say they were they decided to elope, but like how much?
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering.
Like if it was like planned the week before or that day, I don't know.
Yeah.
Couple of months planning.
Couple of months.
Oh,
okay.
Oh, yeah, because they did have a wedding planner. They said so.
Yeah,
okay.
They got hold of Sarah Connie Watson at Let Me Not. They had Vincent Rhett out to take all these lovely photos. Thanks to him for letting us borrow a few of those. And they had the whole thing planned. They'd obviously, their attire is very nice. A lot of thought had gone into that dress on the assumption that it would be relatively cold.
Yeah.
Then it turned out to be bloomin' cold.
Okay. So it wasn't a Hallmark movie situation where it's like, we need to plan a wedding for this afternoon.
We're doing it now. We're doing it live.
And we got it done. And it looks amazing.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So
they had a couple of months, but they also, therefore, a couple of months out, picked an extraordinarily cold day.
Well, that's the thing. It's so extraordinarily cold. I mean, I kind of wondered if they were holding out for a minus 50 wedding, just to put that on the books and say we got married in minus 50.
I mean,
can you imagine?
I'm just gonna. I realize I'm full of weather stats now that I've done that article the other day. But the last time Yellowknife hit minus 50 without wind chill was 1947.
All right,
so they might have been hanging on.
You're already getting enough accolades for that article.
Hey, listen, I've got weather stats.
We'll get to that.
I've got weather stats. I want to use them. Weather.
So that was my first thought. It was was it just, they woke up that morning and they're like, you know what? It's minus 45. This might be the coldest day of the year. Let's go for it.
Yeah.
Let's just get married today. Had their stuff ready to go. Had a camera person on, or photographer, I suppose they're called, on standby.
You there.
You, camera person. Come over here. Yeah, kind of on standby and got it done. But no, so it just turned out that it was minus 45 on the day of their wedding, which makes for incredible pictures,
doesn't it?
the ice fog behind them in the middle of the ice road. It just, it looks magical.
Somebody in the comments wrote that this looked like a magazine photo.
Yeah.
And I looked back at it, I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, this absolutely looks like one of those glossy photos that is either in an ad or leading a feature in a magazine.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, they took some models out. They like brought a whole bunch of lights to recreate the effect. They touched this up in Photoshop for days afterwards. Yeah. And you know that in actual fact, that was just how it looked. I'm
sure Up Here Magazine is just like redoing their whole 2 months issue. Just like, we need to buy these pictures. This needs to be on the cover. Yeah. Because that's amazing. Yeah, absolutely stunning stuff. You, of course, are planning a wedding. There was no part of you that thought to yourself, let's roll the dice for mid-February. It's probably going to be a story to tell. No. Okay. No. There was, we originally were thinking about trying to do it in the ice castle. The snow castle. Oh, my God. You know what? I should just leave Yellowknife right now. I mean, that's embarrassing. That's why you're not allowed. That's right. We said, Lecter, you're just going to call it the wrong name. You're not even allowed to approach Snow King about that. You don't even know what it's called. You can't get married there. Yeah. Lecter accidentally phoned the Ice King instead of the Snow King, and now there are White Walkers in our wedding ceremony. Now we got a whole whack of other problems. You thought the pandemic was bad. What have we said about letting in the Ice King? Well, I'm also not allowed to talk about Game of Thrones. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Wow, we're just breaking all those resolutions. No. Was calling it the Snow Castle a resolution? Probably not. No, probably. But it should be. No. But yeah, incredible pictures. They look, he looks really happy. She looks like, cold and like as comfortable as one could possibly be for a moment in time at minus 45. She looks like she's holding it together. Yeah. We actually, so I wonder how much time did they do the ceremony? They were out there for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, okay. Yep. And you can do a ceremony in 20 minutes. Is that what they did? They did the ceremony in the car, right? I don't entirely know. I'd imagine so. But I know the whole thing was sort of the exchange of rings happened fully like in the vehicle. Okay. I know that much. Gotcha. So yeah, they did all that first, and then they stepped outside and did the business part. But the person I feel the most pressure, like vicariously feel the most pressure for in all this is the photographer. Yeah, because you do that in minus 40. Now I have been a wedding photographer / video person once. Right, it was a lot of stress. Yeah, because I was doing it for friends. And I hadn't done it before. Terrible idea. And you shoot the average sports game or a news event. Yeah. And you know what? If you mess it up, so be it. Yeah. It'll be all right. Whatever. If it's someone's wedding, especially if you know them really well. I mean, whoever's wedding it is, but if you know them, this is quite awful pressure to get this right. And if this hasn't recorded properly or I do something to this footage, then I'm not going to be able to look my friends in the eye for a solid decade. Yeah. Frankly, that's kind of a mean thing to do, to ask your friend to be the photographer of your wedding. If they do it as a business and it's part of their livelihood, that's one thing. Then you're doing them a solid by giving them business. But if it's just we need a photographer, you're good at cameras. Can you? I want to be very clear. They offered to pay me the full price that would normally be paid and everything. It was done very. If you screw up, that's going to make you feel even worse. Yeah. But it was done very respectfully, and I bear no malice toward the people who asked me to do it. I just, it stressed me out no end. Yeah. Now, looking at these photos, I'm like, oh man, now you're going out and you're a wedding photographer, and it's minus 45, and you've got this amazing light, and everything looks great, but you can barely feel your hands. Yeah. You're having to operate equipment out there. Is the camera going to survive out there in minus 45? How long is the battery going to last? How long are your hands going to last? Can you even see the screen on the back of the camera or peer through the viewfinder with everything? I was just thinking, all the things that could go wrong from a photography point of view. And these poor people have got dressed up for this moment. They're out there on the ice road. They're looking at you, and you're tapping the camera frantically. Turn on, turn on, turn on. I had palpitations. I mean, the guy, Vince Rhett, did an amazing job. Yeah. The photos are knockout. Yeah. They're absolutely stunning. Great. Yeah. But props to him for performance under pressure. Yeah. Because that, to me, is that is as tough a gig as you can get. I imagine a scenario setting up one of those pictures and he has to break it to them. It's like, guys, I'm sorry, my camera died 5 minutes ago. You look great. I will remember this in my mind for the rest of my life. Mind photography. Click. Beautiful. Yep. Yeah, you look great.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast. Hey, it was early. What do you want from us?
Time for your best terrible date stories. Brought to you by Flowers North, Bullock's Bistro, Great Slave Gifts, all giving away a wonderful prize pack to the human being who has endured the worst romance has to offer in the Northwest Territories. And boy, have we had some stories so far. Now, Lecter, I believe you've got one over there.
Yeah, which one do you want me to read?
So you've got, I think we got one yesterday.
Yes.
You've got that one?
Okay.
Okay. And we just received into the inbox a second one that I'm gonna hit cold.
Okay.
I haven't even had a chance to read this one through. I'll try and censor it as I go. I think I could already see at least one swear word.
Oh, there's some all caps in there.
We'll get through it.
That's going to be a good one.
Could you please, if you could, try to find us some dirty sacks?
Hello, ladies.
Oh yeah, that'll do.
Done and done.
All yours.
All right, so it's always fun when they ask us not to use their name. So we got one of those first off.
Okay.
Here's my story. First time I ever went out with my husband. Spoiler alert. He showed up with his super overprotective mother.
Ugh.
He's an only child to a single mom. And his aunt, his mother's sister, without telling me ahead of time, we were at a restaurant in our hometown. And the three of them sat on one side of the table and myself on the other.
Wait, what?
Very much an interview type situation.
Oh my god! So mom,
I'm imagining like three of them squished in a booth.
Yeah.
On
I
one
like
side
to
of the
imagine
table.
the husband squished in the middle. And the bookends.
This is already grim. Yep.
At which point, these two ladies stared at me while he looked around and ordered himself a beer. We awkwardly waited for food, so the aunt started conversation, at which point they both grilled me about my life plans and life choices regarding employment and interests and intentions of where I would want to live. They were likely expecting me to say right next door, so I wouldn't take him away. All the while, my then new boyfriend said basically nothing, and I'm certain could only think about the food. He seemed totally unaware of their brazen questions and bold statements.
I mean, he's used to this by now. This is probably not the first time this has happened. He's like, I get a beer in, get some food in, just get through it.
Yeah, this is rehearsal.
I want to know like how old they were.
That's a
when
scary question.
37.
When the food finally did arrive, I hardly had time to eat. I had to explain my intentions with him and what our life plan would be on date one. So I guess he thought it was an opportune time to pick at my food before it was totally cold. He clearly knew there was going to be many further questions that needed answering. On the date, they asked how high maintenance could one girl be if I was carting around an entire garbage bag of shoes in the backseat of my Civic. Little did they know they were hand-me-downs I had yet to go through, and most went to Goodwill. After our romantic lunch date, they followed us to my car and asked us to come over after. We arrived at his mother's house, and he headed to the bedroom. I thought, great, some downtime away from the family. Boy, was I wrong. At this point, his mother laid on the bed beside my boyfriend and watched him play video games while I sat in the hard plastic school chair beside the bed until I went home for the evening.
My goodness me.
Well, that's history. That was over 10 years ago, and I married the guy.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
You back? I mean, yay, you guys! Congratulations! 10 years! Woo, woo.
I just have so many questions.
His family are still involved / interfering as they ever were. I don't know if that answers any of them, Sarah. Him, well, once oblivious and now aware, but still completely unbothered by them. Ha ha ha. Thank God for physical distance.
Woof.
Wow.
There's
listen.
a lot to unpack there.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if he said anything on that first date.
I just don't understand what made her decide to go on a second date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that
Like,
first
what
one.
was there that stood out in that first date that you were like, I need to see this guy again?
Or if there even was a second date, if it was just like you're married now. That's it. You've passed the interview.
Yeah.
You're in.
It sounds like she had her own car, so she was like at least like 16, 17, but probably older.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
It's not like they were like 12.
Yeah. Well, whatever it was. I mean, he's clearly a very good-looking guy.
Oh, wait, and he
A very
had to
buff
be,
guy.
so he had to be like at least 18, 19.
Okay. I feel like like detective work has begun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for that.
That's a contender.
That's a contender. I mean, that is a terrible. I mean, it ended well. We don't know how it ended well. There is no explaining. There is no explaining how you two are married.
Maybe it's still ending.
Yeah. Maybe he's just heard that on the air. Because let's face it, you're gonna know if that was you being described just then. Yeah. And good luck to you guys.
And when she says that her family, his family's still just as interfering as they were on this first date, like she's got another 10 years worth of stories just like this.
Oh, I imagine, yeah. It sounds like basically she's living a real life version of Everybody Loves Raymond. Essentially, that's what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, and if you love Raymond,
I mean, she does apparently.
Yeah, you might as well marry him. Right, come on, we got another long one to get through here. There you go. Beauty. So this one, am I allowed to say who this is from? I can't see that there's any... boy, oh boy, am I going to have to do some work on this. Okay. So I think I can name who this is. You know what? We'll get through the end of it, and I'll tell you if we can name them or not.
Okay.
Right. Good morning. It's hard to choose which terrible date to send in. I believe I have only ever known terrible dates. Also, I pre-apologize to the reader if you Google something from this story you can't unsee. I recommend not Googling. Okay, I'm going to do my best on this.
We're going to Google.
Yeah, so going off to college later in life, being from Yellowknife, where people don't seem to understand the concept of dating, I decided, what the heck, let's try dating again. I meet, we'll call him Jason, on Bumble. Flirty text, chatted a couple times over the phone, did a video chat, very good looking, easy to talk to. We agree for a first date dinner and drinks at a local pub. Not original, but a good place in public to meet. We arrive at the same time, meet in the parking lot. He seems off, so I ask him if he's okay. He then explains he lost his job earlier that day and isn't sure what to make of it. I feel terrible for the guy and offer to reschedule. He insists he's fine and we should continue the date. So far, so all right.
Poor Jason.
We have a cocktail and he tells me about the job he was laid off from and how he's thinking about becoming a professional gamer. I'm not a video gamer snob by any means, but if professional video gamer was on his profile, he would not have the time I'm looking for in a relationship, and I would not have swiped right.
Hey, some of those make a lot of money.
She's not convinced. I know at this point we're not a match, but I can tell the guy needs someone to chat with and really genuinely cares about people.
Oh, no.
The rest of the date is cringy.
Oh, no.
He's holding back tears a few times, talks a lot about his exes, life's failures. I'm still trying to stay positive. He has dessert and seems to be cheering up from talking about himself. He even mentioned once that he didn't ask me anything about me and continued to talk about himself. Waitress comes. I ask for the bill to be split. He tells me what a great time he's had. He's taken up enough of my time. At this point, I'm ready to go. Here's where it gets bad. The saxophone is screaming once again with agony.
I married him.
I say, Jason, thank you for going on a date. I know you didn't have the best day. And he interrupts me. I never know when it's the appropriate time when meeting someone to mention that I have subdermal penile piercings.
Whoa. Yeah.
I'm not sure that whoever's reading this knows what that is. I did not, says our writer in capital letters. I consider myself knowledgeable in things of this nature. My brain goes into overload. I had so many questions flowing through my head. I immediately giggle out a what? He continues to repeat it slowly and slightly louder. Then he says something I won't repeat on the air. So many more questions, which I'll add I'm taking way too long to respond to. Also, a note, I laugh when uncomfortable. He must have confused the smile holding back a WTF with happy about this. I'm trying to make it clear I'm not interested, but in that moment I was so curious I almost asked to see it.
Oh my God.
Jason then asked, would you like to go back to my place and find out about it?
Oh my God.
Thank God my inner voice is like Tannis. No, red alert. You cannot ask to see it. I can't help it. I'm laughing and say, probably not something you mention on a first date, but maybe the person who's right for you will disagree. We walk out to the parking lot. I'm trying not to run. I'm dying inside. He leans in for a kiss, which I dodge, not expecting it. I kind of run forwards towards my car, and he yells out across the parking lot, are you sure? I can't get in my car fast enough. I immediately Googled subdermal piercing. It wasn't exactly as cool as Jason made it sound.
Oh. Well, I'm going to Google it right now.
There are some other very, very funny jokes here that just aren't quite broadcastable. She ends, and guys wonder why we want to really get to know someone before going on a date. Happy Valentine's Day. Forever hopeful, Tannis.
Mornings at the Cabin, the podcast where we cut out all the great music and you're left with the rest.
Mornings at the Cabin brought to you by Aurora Ford, driving the north, still in recovery mode here from your terrible date stories. Thanks, Tanis, for that. We've done a lot of Googling in the last 10 minutes. And, the jury is very much out in this office about the nature of subdermal piercings. If you missed that break, well, consider yourself lucky. You can always go listen on the podcast if you want later on. This is all in sort of the flavor of your best terrible date stories.
Oh, flavor, Ollie?
What?
Really?
Okay, maybe a poor choice of word. Your best terrible date stories.
Spirits.
Flavorless. There you go. Is that better?
Sure.
Okay. Send them in. Mailbox at cabinradio.ca. You can do it through our Facebook or Instagram pages as well. If you win the best terrible date story contest, then you will win a wonderful prize pack from Flowers North, Great Slave Gifts, and Bullock's Bistro. You've got until... When are we doing the draw?
I think Thursday or Friday.
All right, you got one more day, basically.
Yeah.
Get those stories in. I am amazed how many stories we've had. It's clear that this town has a problem.
Well, they didn't all originate from this town. They just all live in this town now.
They all fled the date
That's right.
to this town. Yeah. Okay.
I like to think they all happened on the East Coast somewhere.
Let's head back to an earlier topic, the cold. The sheer cold. I mean, we could talk about it now because we're out of it, right? We're on the other side.
Right.
And I'm starting to think maybe we have had the coldest day we'll ever experience. I'm starting to think that Saturday is probably the coldest I will ever be. I don't know that it will ever be topped.
Are you?
Because it's climate change. And,
right. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, right, so minus 45, which we got on Saturday. Forget wind chill. Wind chill's not a part of this. Minus 45 straight hadn't happened in like more than 10 years. And it's only...
Really?
Yeah, really.
I thought we had like a minus 50 day, like yours and my like first winter.
Look,
here,
we did with wind chill, but not with raw temperature.
Yeah, but that doesn't exist. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Raw temperature wise, we haven't cracked minus 50 in 74 years now.
Wow.
In Yellowknife.
Okay.
And even more minus 45, we've only had a handful of days in the 2000, like in this millennium.
Wow.
That have been minus 45 or below. So Saturday was extraordinarily cold, even by Yellowknife standards. And it got me thinking, we're on an upswing. You look at this ties in a little bit. I know you've been dying to talk about how I spent my Super Bowl. This does tie in.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Because you look at the charts and you look at anywhere, Toronto, Vancouver, Iqaluit, Yellowknife, everywhere's getting steadily warmer over time. Your extreme lows, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you look at Yellowknife, every other year or so was spitting out a minus 47, a minus 48 day.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't happen. They have not happened since the 90s anymore. Like minus 47, I don't know when the last time that was. It certainly wasn't in the lifetimes of a lot of people listening to this show. You think, well, minus 45 is probably going to go the same way. And actually, Saturday may be for all we know, maybe the last time Yellowknife sees that temperature. And that's kind of like when you start thinking about it like that.
What a shame.
Right. Well, it kind of is.
Kind of, yeah.
Do you not think it is?
In the grand scheme
I guess you were being sarcastic, but to me it is a shame. How are we going to brag to family members who don't live here?
That's true, yeah.
That's half the battle. That's half the point.
Yeah. Mars has got us beat now.
Yeah.
We can't compete with that.
Well, I mean, it's really hard to move there.
Yeah.
I mean, you think this place is cut off. Air Canada pulls out. Suddenly everybody's like, oh, my goodness, the prices are going to really go up. How do you think they feel on Mars right now? Donald Trump's left office. They're probably not going to launch a Space Force anymore.
Yeah.
When's the next manned mission to Mars? I say the next one. When's the first one going to be?
Must be feeling lonely on Mars right now. Yeah.
I feel like you're building up to a gag or I just missed one. But you know what?
No?
Okay. I was waiting for an Eagles track to make an appearance in that. That's usually like a trap that I fall into on this show.
Oh, no, that would have been a David Bowie.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, very good.
But the moment's passed.
The moment is gone. So it just got me thinking, wow, what if we've had the last ever minus 45 day in Yellowknife? Because we're getting to that point. Not to be all climate changey on you at this time in the morning, but we're getting to the point where we're starting to lose stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you probably have had your last minus 47. It's probably not ever going to happen again here, looking at the way the trends are going. So I think, wow.
So what are you proposing? Should we build a statue for a monument?
I'm just saying, drink
for
it.
minus 47.
Just drink it in,
or just keep it to museums or something.
Just the next time, if we ever get another minus 45, consider yourself lucky. Go out there, drink it in,
Yeah.
inhale deeply,
Cough a little.
cough a lot,
Recover.
splutter somewhat, rush back indoors so that you don't immediately get frostbite with the saliva sticking to your face from the coughing fit.
Go marry your sweetheart.
Go marry your sweetheart. Yep. Stay with her for 10 years, despite their mother and their aunts overbearing presence in your existence. Yeah.
Win some flowers and dinner for two at Bullock's Bistro.
And don't expose any subdermal piercings out there. It's pretty cold. I don't know what that does at that temperature. That's really what I'm saying. Oh, look at Sarah's face.
Cringe.
Yeah.
Absolute cringe.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I
you
have
know,
nothing to add to this.
I started off with the purest of thoughts about this whole minus 45 thing. It's
Yeah,
not
I
my
don't know
fault
how
it got
it
corrupted.
this way.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just
This-
sad now that I didn't really get outside and experience it fully. I was like, I'm not leaving my house. It is cold.
Oh, we got you
God.
outside that day.
On the yeah, we did go take some pictures, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. I was outside. I did things.
Oh, well
Oh,
done.
we,
forgot.
we rescued that mood swing, didn't we?
Look at that.
Yeah. You were outside.
Briefly, yeah.
We made that video, that wonderful video that everybody shared. Yeah. We immortalized it. You see, that's what cabin radio does. We were like, this could be the last minus 45 ever.
Yeah. It's
We
a
should
good
get
thing
out
you
there.
did. You
Phil.
won't have that opportunity again.
You should get out there and film dogs playing in the snow and really like undermining the message we're trying to send in this video, which is that it's really cold. Meanwhile, you have like a gambolling white husky type that's just like, hey, everyone, we're just going to play out here.
Well, you know who's really sad about this? Guy in T-shirt and shorts outside of Independent there.
Well, you saw the video, hey?
He's going to be just sweating for the rest of his days.
I love the ability of Yellowknife to create local memes like that. You know, one guy outside the Independent in a T-shirt and shorts. Suddenly the whole of Yellowknife has seen that photo by now. Yeah, like, what is he doing? And then he sent us a video. It's on our Instagram.
And then, yeah, right.
Go check it out right now. The same guy sent us a video of him doing the old toss the hot water in the air and watch it turn into steam trick while still dressed like that on the coldest day that Yellowknife may ever have. Again.
I don't know where he goes from here. That's it.
Presumably into some sort of Burns ward. And then, yeah, it's a long old road to recovery for some people, mental and physical. But you know what? I just wanted to bring that up. Now I feel sad. I feel like this is a downbeat break when I didn't really realize it was going to be. But, you know, times they are a-changing.
They are.
Good. Well, what a pensive note to end that one on.
The Mornings at the Cabin podcast.
Brought to you by Aurora Ford, driving the North here one last time before the 90s at 9. I am Ollie. Lecter is across from me. Sarah Price in the room as well. Penny, the cabin radio dog, off scuba diving through the garbage in the distance.
She's actually being quite good. She is sleeping on the couch.
That's what
A
she
little
wants you to
ball.
think.
Oh, good
I just
dog.
petted her.
Yeah, she just looked over at me and winked. She
We
knows
do
what.
actually have to set up some GoPros in my house.
Oh,
See what she does when we're not there.
I mean, we know what she does.
I know. I just want to know how she does it.
that, yeah. I mean, she's achieved some pretty incredible things.
I'm fairly sure her guild doesn't let her do that. I think you're not allowed to show the magic behind, like, you know how it is, like with the guild.
Oh,
like,
she will not be able to resist. She will not care. We'll put a carrot on the middle of the counter. Everyone's like, she can't get stuff on the counter. I'm like, oh, watch. She can get stuff from the middle of the counter. We need to figure that out. It's the next video we're going to make, guys.
you're going to be terrified when it turns out that it's just telekinesis.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And
that'll
Penny
be
is
creepy.
moving carrots off the middle of the counter with the power of thought.
Oh.
Then what are you going to do? Right? You see that video evidence? You now discover that the dog can actually move objects by the power of thought alone? I don't think you need that knowledge.
I don't think you can discipline a dog out of that.
Yeah, right? Turns out your dog is possessed. What are you going to do? Exorcise it?
I have no idea. I just need to know.
Maybe some things are better left a mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Good. Thanks, everybody. Welcome back to Mornings at the Cabin. We're on a bit of a cold kick this morning because it's safe now to talk about it. It's above minus 29 even. It's beautiful out there. And, yeah.
So sad.
Well, I feel bad now. I brought everybody down. If you weren't listening like 20 minutes ago, I may have mentioned that I thought that might be the last minus 45 day we ever get on Saturday because climate change and all that stuff. Then it turned really somber, and now I feel like I've just sucked all the joy out of living here. And I'm sorry.
You have all. You ruined it.
I just, it has to be said. Never mind. Moving on. Let's talk about other cold things.
Remember on Sunday when you tried to suck all the joy out of the Super Bowl?
Well, it wasn't difficult, was it?
Yeah,
I mean,
I wasn't there. What happened?
So, I mean, the game was boring. So, yeah, you had not a lot of
it's football,
competition.
so, yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Whoa.
The game was predestined to be boring. It was just a question of how boring.
Last year's Super Bowl was great.
Yeah, this year's wasn't.
This year's wasn't. The weekend was great. Halftime show was great. But so the game is going on, and we're having a good time.
White noise in the background.
Yeah, white noise in the background. Exactly. Yeah. We're making jokes about the commercials that we're not really seeing the actual Super Bowl commercials. It's just John Hamm over and over. And
when you say, hang on, just time out. When you say, oh yeah, we're making jokes about the commercials, let's be very clear that the overriding discussion in the room for most of the Super Bowl was Jesse brought up the subject of the Shakespeare play Titus Andronicus,
right?
And Megan Brackenbury wanted to discuss the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
Among many other things.
Yep, went that direction.
It was a very interesting Super Bowl chat atmosphere.
We learned more things about Bracken Sibbs that we, didn't ask about and never expected to learn.
Well, and also they had the poet, the same poet from the inauguration was on before. So we had people running in going, did I miss the poem?
Yeah.
Which I've never heard before a sports event before. People dashing into the room asking to know if they've missed the sports poem.
It's the first time it's ever been done, Ollie.
Yeah. I could get on board with that. If we could replace the national anthems at the start of hockey games
with
a poetry reading.
Yeah.
And I took the road less traveled.
Well, technically, a national anthem is just a poem. It's just a very patriotic poem.
Some national anthems don't have lyrics.
Every time.
I know.
There you go. Yeah, we read the same poem. We've got to pick a poem. It's got to be not waving but drowning. And we're going to read it every time in front of every hockey game. And that is going to get old fast.
Let's just recite the Raven before every football game.
I now present The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. 73 verses. Settle yourselves in. Okay, so anyway, there was the poetry. There was a bit of talk of Shakespeare. It was all very erudite. I enjoyed it as a Super Bowl party. But yeah, I was preoccupied.
There were snacks.
It was snacks.
Snacks were good.
Snacks were good.
All the while, Ollie sitting on his laptop.
Working away,
looking up weather charts.
Yeah.
And I looked over. I saw your screen a couple times, and you were just full on into these weather charts. And I was just like, you know what? That's just Ollie being Ollie. He's doing his thing. He can multitask. He's paying attention. He's engaging in the conversation. He's kind of watching the game. He's making mild sarcastic remarks here and there. Like this is about as much undivided attention we could expect from Ollie Williams. And then maybe just after halftime, you took a phone call.
Yep.
Did a little interview in the boardroom.
It was about the wedding. The minus 45 wedding on Saturday. It's more interesting than the Super Bowl.
So you were working on several stories.
Yeah.
At once. Well, yeah.
News doesn't stop for the Super Bowl.
No, that's true. Most news does.
Most news does. Not our news.
No, not our.
No.
Very removed from what is happening in the world of professional football.
Emily Blake was at the same Super Bowl party, busy writing a story on reports into the corrections system in the Northwest Territories.
Oh, I wasn't so sure she was working. I just thought that was, she was just looking up, I don't know, whatever she was doing.
I think she was probably slightly less engaged than I was.
Yeah.
But she was still working.
Her sarcastic remarks with regards to the game were slightly more biting.
Yeah.
Than yours.
I think she was
like, all right, Emily's into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just tossing out the occasional generic one just to show this type of sports is more boring than the other types of sports. Okay, good one, Ollie. I think they haven't noticed. Back to the weather charts, quick.
You got about 7 minutes before you need to chime in again.
Yep. Oh, Jesse, that was a silly remark. Good. They think you're listening. Good. Yeah.
But end result, you missed a boring football game.
Yeah.
And you posted an article yesterday that has it's knocked it out of the park. People are loving your weather article.
The Cabin Radio comment section, it's come to quite something when, a comment section that has roughly 10 comments in it, most of which are just this was a good article, is considered to be, the ultimate, the pantheon, the holy grail.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No one even has anything to add. They're just this is a solid article. Yeah, well,
which was nice.
It seems like someone had a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
And not a lot of, outside stimulation going on. They were just engaged.
Yeah.
Weather charts.
I had approximately 4 hours on my hands. And yeah.
A break for the weekend, and then...
Sports on TV is the ultimate wallpaper for me.
Oh, yeah.
For getting things done.
Yeah.
Half the reason there's a TV in my office here is to stick Premier League soccer games on there.
Right.
But I don't really watch with any great interest. I just like the noise of it. It's comforting noise. I'm used to that noise from my childhood. I basically stick it on, listen to the commentators, half listen to them, just listen for them to get excited, and then I'll look up at the appropriate moment, and then get on with stuff.
Well, I think that's the only reason that golf and baseball exist.
Yeah.
It's for
golf.
people to get work done.
Golf especially. You put golf on at the start of the morning, the first pairs are teeing off at like 7:30 a.m. The last ones aren't due out till 2. They're going to finish at 6. Cricket is much the same. I mean, everybody laughs, it takes 5 days. It's great. That's a whole working week.
A full work week.
You just stick it on and leave it there. And you've just got the gentle hubbub of a crowd and stuff happens. Once or twice an hour, you might have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just get on with your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Super Bowl's great for that, because I couldn't care less. But every now and again, they're going to raise their voices a little bit. You'll look up, you'll be like, oh, he's won another one, look. And then go back to the weather. Yeah. Well, I'm glad people like the weather story. I love that stuff. I spend an absurd amount of time looking at weather statistics.
Yeah, you've branched out from just rain.
Yeah,
it's overall weather now.
We used to do rain. We do overall weather. We're almost certainly going to have another warm period at some point, and we haven't really done that one yet.
Yeah,
we sort of 2019 we had that super warm March,
right,
and everything, but we didn't really do charts for that one,
right.
So I'm more prepared now. I'm ready for the next warm period.
Yeah, well, maybe by the end of this upcoming summer, we'll have an Olympics that you can just have on in the background, and then oh man, you watch the article that comes out of that.
Solid 2.5 weeks of sports. Great. Wow, there are going to be some charts on that bad boy. Thank you, Yellow, for enjoying the weather article. I appreciate that. And thank you, Lecter, for being my company this morning. Thank you, Sarah Price. Silence.
Yeah, sorry, we were talking about sports. I tuned out.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks for listening. Check out more from the show at cabinradio.ca and by following the Mornings at the Cabin Facebook page.